I'm Gerald, also called Jerry. This is I would like to read a story called A Fish That Learned to Swim. Take 001 or 001 take away one for all for one. It's a good nice story for children, from my favorite childhood fairy tales that I like remembering. It about a fish that learned to think loud, like human beings think loud when they think that they are thinking loud, or they think that it's possible to think loud, because it's possible to think it's only possible to think loud when one thinks they want to think loud. And it's a story about a fish that learned to think loud, like human beings think when they think that they are thinking loud, and they think that people are thinking for them. And I have forgotten the author and the title of the book. I read it either in kindergarten or in primary school, and one can get it. It's available actually in many bookshops and libraries worldwide, and one can get it in many books and libraries worldwide if one repeats the story, and then one finds the title of the book. It's an English storybook from the English library. So take 001 001 take. Once upon a time, two goldfishes called Tom and Jerry were born in a river close to a village where human beings lived. They grew up happily together and had a very nice, happy childhood with other fishes and their goldfish family. Tom was a curious, adventurous fish and spoke to every fish that passed by or he passed by. Jerry was a cautious, shy, careful fish who also spoke with other fishes that passed by him or that he passed by, but felt safest in his goldfish family. The river had a riverbank and a bridge over the riverbank, over which people crossed to the other side and to the other villages, from the right side of the village to the left side of the village, like from the right side of the right side of the computer to the left side of the computer, like from a simple computer user to an advanced computer user, and or from a simple television user to an advanced television user, or a simple radio user from the right to from the left to an advanced radio user on the right, from the left from the left to the right, from the left to the right, like he saw people on the right, he saw a village on the right, like for advanced users on the right, and he wanted to speak to them and think loud like them. And he was very interested. So he watched, and they were all human beings, and they were normal, and they used to think loud. So he often wished to think loud and speak and walk like the human beings. At first he thought, I must think loud like a human being. He thought like the wolf, and the three piglets puffed and puffed and puffed until he blew up the house. So he thought until he could think loud like a human being. And he had people saying, look at that funny fish, he can think loud like a thinking human being. He became brave and began creating the human beings. He thought, I must speak like a human being. At first no one answered, but some people began speaking. Look at that funny fish, he can speak to like a human being. And some people began greeting back, and Tom became even braver. And then he thought next, I must breathe like a human being now. He thought, and he tried until he could breathe like a human being. And then people said, look at that funny fish, he can breathe like a human being. And then Tom became even braver. He thought, I must now learn to walk like a human being. He tried until he could walk like a human being, out of the river onto the riverbank. And then Tom was very happy because he could think like a human being, speak like a human being, and walk like a human being. He soon got bored because no one was talking to him. and decided to walk to the village on the right and over to the bridge to the other villages and travel across the world. He walked to the village and spoke to the villagers, and everybody ignored him. And Tom didn't know why, because he didn't know anybody in the village anyway. And villagers remained villagers, so he was not hurt. Tom walked to the next village, across the bridge to the left side, where the other villagers were, and met the same rude people. And Tom did not know why, but tried to speak with everybody anyway, because he had done something they don't, perhaps he had done something they don't do, or said something they don't say, or gone somewhere they don't go. Tom was not to be stopped and visited many other villages and reached the towns. He visited the small towns. On the left, he visited all the towns on the left side of the river. He visited the small towns, the big towns, the bigger towns, and even the metropolis. And Tom became, and he thought a lot. He thought aloud a lot. He thought a lot loudly. And he thought loud a lot, and he thought a lot loudly, spoke a lot to people, spoke a lot, walked a lot, and did a lot. And Tom became the happiest goldfish people had ever seen on earth. People spoke about him and walked to him and spoke with him, and Tom was pleased. Perhaps he had done something people do, or said something people say, or gone somewhere people go to the left. He could think like a human being, breathe like a human being, speak like a human being, and walk like a human being. Although Tom was a goldfish, which don't think like human beings, breathe like human beings, speak like human beings, and walk like human beings. Tom became a famous goldfish, and everybody in the village and every fish in the river heard about him and spoke about him and walked and swam to him wherever he went and spoke with him. And one day Tom became lonely and began missing home. He began missing Jerry the goldfish and his goldfish family and the fishes in the river where he was born and grew up. He decided to go back home because east or west, home is best. He walked and walked and walked until he reached the bridge over the river where he was born and grew up. He decided to go back home because east or west, home is best. He walked and walked and walked until he reached the bridge over the river. The bridge over the river where he was born and grew up from the left side of the bridge. He reached the river where he grew up, and so he jumped over he stood over the bridge and over the bridge where he was born and grew up. He looked every day down into the river, hoping to see Jerry or a goldfish he knew, but none passed by. He waited and waited and waited, but saw no sign of Jerry. One day, as he was almost giving up waiting for Jerry, he suddenly saw an image of a goldfish. in the water that looked like Jerry the goldfish. The image of the goldfish looked like Jerry the goldfish, whom he grew up with a family of the goldfishes. The image in the water that he was looking at from the top of the bridge, from the top at the bottom of where he was standing up above the water, where he was standing at the bottom. It looked like Jerry, the 001 Jerry, the goldfish. He shouted and shouted and shouted, but Jerry did not shout back because he had done something goldfishes don't do, or said something goldfishes don't say, or gone somewhere goldfishes don't go. He jumped into the river to swim after the image of the goldfish that looked like Jerry the goldfish, of his goldfish family and the fishes he grew up with, and drank water and fainted and drowned and died because he could no longer think like a fish, breathe like a fish, swim like a fish, and swim like a fish, and he fell like a stone to the bottom of the river and slept. The lesson of the story is pride comes before a fall. Think before you act, think before you speak, and don't promise what you cannot fulfill, and there are very many lessons that I can pick up from the story, but the main thing is don't steal, be a good person, don't be impolite, don't do bad things to other people, because bad things that you do to other people are paid to you in kind, and things that you don't know, don't do things that you don't know, or whose outcomes you don't know. Don't overestimate your strength, and don't judge a book by the cover, and don't judge a book by the cover, and don't do things people don't do, like things that can harm you, and if you do them, you have to think about saving yourself by doing other things that will save you, which happens with other people that will save you in such a case. And there are a lot more lessons that one can learn from this story. The important thing is always to be glad of what you have. Be glad of the blessings of everything that you get, and not to look for things that you don't have, because he was a goldfish who thought that all that glitters is gold, like the image of Jerry was glittering, and he thought it was gold. He judged his pride for it, and it caused his death. Do not judge a book by the cover, and all the glitter is not gold, even goldfish is gold.
Because a lot